So you have Chicago, the city, and Illinois, the state, willing to go to war with the federal government over undocumented immigrants. This whole time, Black Americans are losing their communities in Chicago because of a spike, a property tax increase by 133%. That's only impacting Black communities. And they seen this coming the whole time. So you're willing to go to war with Trump, but you're a head state, you're a head figure of these local governments, and you're not willing to put anything in place to protect your Black American residents, right? What a joke, right? You have West Garfield Park, property tax increased by 133%, and then you have Inglewood and North Lawndale. Look at this, which the local governments knew that this was coming, right? And all this tax money, they're going to invest it back into Chicago public schools, which 30% of the students are immigrants, ESL programs, which is going to benefit them. And then some of this money even goes to asylum applications, CPS status, to protect immigrants legally. But where's the protection at for the Black American residents, right? That's about to lose their generational wealth. We all know home ownership is the first step in establishing generational wealth, and these communities are about to just be destabilized, right? And this is a local government, right? These are head figures of local government. Brandon Kaita and JB Prick, and they're not doing anything to protect these Black American citizens, but willing to go to war with the federal government over some.
Hello guys, my name is Noble. Welcome back to my channel. Today we need to talk about something very, very serious. This is about tax money, daycare program, and government failure in America. There is anger right now in Minnesota because people are finding out that millions of dollars meant for childcare and families were stolen. Some daycare centers were listed as empty, but they were still collecting money from the government. And this is being called one of the biggest tax fraud in American history. And regular people are the ones paying the price. This money was supposed to help workers, families, children, and parents who need daycare to survive. Instead, greedy people took advantage of the system. What makes people even more angry is that the government failed to catch this early. Oversight was weak, checks were not done properly, warning was ignored. While every day, Americans struggle with rent, food, and bills. Fake daycare centers, we are collecting taxpayer money. That is not just corruption, that is betrayal. And when politicians argue on TV, families are still hurting. Parents can't find daycare spots, workers can't go to work, children lose support, yet the money is gone. This is why people don't trust the system anymore. It feels like the rich and connected get away with everything, while normal people are told to be patient. No matter your political side, this should make you angry.
A $250 million fraud scheme. Already 77 people, many of them Somali immigrants, have been charged in one of the largest taxpayer-funded scams in U.S. history. Minnesota, home to the largest Somali community in America, has become the center of this massive investigation. This is the Feeding Our Future scandal, a pandemic-era scheme in which defendants allegedly stole over $250 million meant to provide meals for low-income children. Instead of feeding kids, prosecutors say the money went toward luxury homes, high-end cars, jewelry, overseas transfers, and an entire network of shell companies. According to the DOJ, the conspirators submitted fake invoices, fabricated meal counts, and even staged photos to make it look like they were serving millions of meals that never existed. In some cases, they claimed to feed more children than lived in entire neighborhoods. A federal jury found Amy Bach, the founder of Feeding Our Future, and Salim Ahmed Saeed guilty of conspiracy, bribery, wire fraud, money laundering. Federal officials say more arrests may still be coming.
Minnesota's largest welfare fraud case has been exposed, and multiple individuals involved have already been arrested and are now cooperating with investigators. One daycare facility couldn't even spell the word learning correctly, yet still received $4 million in public funding. Independent journalist Nick Shirley attempted to enroll his son in several taxpayer-funded daycare centers across Minnesota. Every location he visited was completely empty. He then exposed what was really happening. Minnesota's largest welfare fraud case has been exposed, and multiple individuals involved have already been arrested and are now cooperating with investigators. One daycare facility couldn't even spell the word learning correctly, yet still received $4 million in public funding. Independent journalist Nick Shirley attempted to enroll his son in several taxpayer-funded daycare centers across Minnesota. Every location he visited was completely empty. He then exposed what was really happening. Videos show that some of the listed daycare addresses had no children at all. Some locations were vacant buildings or private residences, yet they had been collecting government subsidies for years. Nick Shirley and his team conducted on-site investigations, knocking on doors one by one. In front of the camera, some refused to answer, some shut the door immediately, and others suddenly changed their story, denying everything. One daycare facility specifically named in the investigation reportedly received around $1.9 million in public funds in 2025. Yet during filming and site visits, the location was completely vacant. State authorities and law enforcement have now launched formal investigations.
Arguably the greatest independent investigation of all time from this guy, Nick Shirley, has uncovered potentially the biggest fraud in American history involving Somali daycares in the state of Minnesota, defrauding taxpayers of nearly $9 billion. All right, now, if you're like me, you've been hearing a lot about Somalis in Minnesota the last week. I was like, what the fuck is going on with Somalia in Minnesota? Well, this guy, Nick Shirley, took it upon himself to investigate what was going on with the help of this Minnesotan going by just his first name, David. All right, so here's the deal. There is a massive amount of fraud going on in Minnesota, primarily involving Somali communities in the world of social work and government programs. Things like daycare centers, special needs facilities, transportation groups, all these companies set in place using taxpayer money to help out the community that is doing zero work.
For example, there's a child care not far from here in Minneapolis that has two child cares listed at the same address, and together they're licensed supposedly for 120 children. I have never seen a single child there, ever. Where's anybody? How can there be nobody here? And it's like this every single day.
Oh, is this your daycare?
No. Can you tell us why there are no children? Have you ever seen children at this child care center? I'm not sure. I don't.
Doesn't know if she's ever seen a child here.
Now, this isn't just happening with one daycare location. This is happening with dozens all across the state. Welfare programs, assistance systems, transportation companies, all things coming from taxpayer monies. And it seems to be that there's a disproportionate amount of these companies in names of Somali residents. It's the same way how you always hear about the mob with Italian Americans, how they're always involved in sanitation or construction. In the Irish communities, they're always exploiting unions and government contracts. So in this case, it happens to be the Somalis in Minnesota exploiting social welfare programs from the government. Now, it's important to note that the majority of Somalis in Minnesota are not scammers. It's just that the majority of scams in Minnesota are Somali. How does this happen? They're a tight-knit community. One person finds out they can scam the government for some checks for some daycare. They tell a friend who tells a friend, and next thing you know, the entire community is exploiting the government. Now, how does the government get exploited like that? Three main reasons. Number one, something like COVID happens. All hell breaks loose. All of the checks and balances are out of place, and people can skate under the radar. Number two, language barriers and cultural differences make it difficult for the government to communicate directly with the people running these companies. And number three, it's the big one. It's my opinion. I believe that a left-leaning, progressive, liberal government like Minnesota has a lot of officials in place who do not want to appear as the person cracking down on a minority group. They don't want to be seen as anything even remotely xenophobic. In today's climate, left versus right, with immigration being such a hot button issue, they feel like they have to protect a minority group like the Somalis, even if they're defrauding their state of $9 billion. It's absolute madness. Anyway, go watch the full 42-minute documentary. I'm sure Nick Shirley worked so hard on it. It's absolutely incredible.
Massive fraud in the state of Minnesota, especially in Minneapolis. This daycare right here, ran by Somalians, has taken in from the Minnesota government $1.1 million. This daycare says it can hold up to 40 children. I went up to the door. The door is locked, and as you can see, the windows are blacked out. I can't hear any children inside this daycare. It's midday right now. You'd think there'd be children in there playing, being taught, but no one is in there. This daycare, within 2 years, has taken in over $2 million. The Somalians are robbing the taxpayers in Minnesota blind. This is just one daycare located in Minneapolis that are doing exactly the same thing. We've went into daycare after daycare. All the doors are locked, all the windows are blocked out, and they're raking in millions upon millions of dollars. This Tim Walz's Minnesota is allowing this to go on. It's super easy to find fraud. All you need to do is go up to a door, try to open it. It's closed and there's no children. So you know these daycares They're not full, but yet they're taking in millions of dollars every year. Let me know your thoughts on this one.
Minnesota's largest welfare fraud case has been exposed, and multiple individuals involved have already been arrested and are now cooperating with investigators. One daycare facility couldn't even spell the word learning correctly, yet still received $4 million in public funding. Independent journalist Nick Shirley attempted to enroll his son in several taxpayer-funded daycare centers across Minnesota. Every location he visited was completely empty. He then exposed what was really happening.
At the end of the day, this story is not just about fraud. It's about families who were failed. Money meant to help parents work and care for their children was stolen, and the system allowed it to happen. Why politicians argue and point finger, we people are still struggling. If there is no accountability, this will happen again, and once again, working families will pay the price. America must be better. Protect the people, not the scammers. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.